Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The Rostermania Drama may well be back on the table with PaulEhx, currently a restricted free agent from the New York subliners, confirming that his links with London may well have broken down. Coincidental timing really, with Crimsix also revealing that an announcement for him is coming very soon indeed. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss. Firstly, on the Vegas Legion as they are now. Now, well, yesterday when we looked at this exact tweet, they were the Vegas Legion all across the board. Vegas Legion in the name, Vegas Legion in everything. I'm pretty sure their Twitter at yesterday was at Vegas Legion when we looked at this tweet yesterday, and not at Las Vegas Legion. So I wonder if there's something to come, because I know some of you guys were mentioning, right, that they do say this is only the beginning. Now, we heard the rumors that, they tried to change their logo, they tried to change their name to a certain extent, but like, well, at least potentially, but they weren't like allowed to do it or whatever. So they say this is only the beginning. Maybe they just mean of like, obviously they have to announce a roster at some point, or they mean there are more changes to come to the brands. Of course, we would like to see a new logo, a new face of the brand, let's just say, going forwards, like, let the Paris Legion die in the past, effectively, rather than continuing. But yes, instead of Vegas Legion, it might be Las Vegas Legion, or maybe the CDL said they have to do that just because it's the, the same kind of philosophy with Los Angeles Guerrillas and stuff like this, but, I guess we'll see how it goes. But it does open the door for them to use, like, hashtag level up or whatever they wanted to do if they want to go down the route of that hashtag. I don't really know. People have been suggesting it, and LVL worked relatively well, but, still, hopefully there is more to come rather than just this, but I thought it was worth mentioning regardless. This also, big news on the Modern Warfare 2 side. We talked about it last night and the day before. The beta is coming soon. Call of Duty revealed a map yesterday. Like, they do this, and then eventually the map actually comes together. This is the map in question. This map we believe is called Museum. Some people early on thought this could be the Singapore Grand Prix map because they're kind of like the road around the side here, but this is another map called Museum, and as Ghost of Hope kind of nicely points out here, it does seem to be a 3-lane affair. It is relatively clear that there are 3 lanes here with a couple of connecting features. There's the middle connector, there's this connector, but in general, this map overview looks a lot more like what we like to see from maps as opposed to what we might have seen from Infinity Ward in the past. Like, there's 2 very clear spawn zones on either side, there's 2 buildings just out of spawn, then there's obviously, okay, you come out of spawn, you can go left, you can go right, you can go middle. On the left-hand side, we've got a longish lane with maybe not too much cover, then on the right-hand side, a similar thing, but maybe a bit more cover going on, and then you've got the middle of the map, which seems to be pretty hotly contested. You see this, like, circular ring thing right here, so that could be a, first hard win or something, who knows, or where the domination flag is, something along those lines, and, obviously, I think this makes a lot of sense. You look at the way this map is designed, it doesn't remind me of a Grasner Raid, right? I mean, Grasner Raid it actually looks kind of like Raid from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops Cold War, but Grasner Raid, if you guys know that map from Modern Warfare, like, it was one of the most chaotic maps you're ever going to play. The map was so big, there was no flow, there was no clear lane structure or design, it was just all over the place, and there's about 20,000 windows you can get shot from. This doesn't look like that map design philosophy. Seems to me that there's going to be this, like, powerful building up here, there's going to be, this powerful building up here that's going to, there's going to be a head glitch, or maybe a power position, and then a counter power position on what is seemingly a relatively clear-cut 3-lane map design. You can see how this might work in terms of, this building could be one of the hard points, then there could be another hard point in here. Like, I don't know. I like the look of this on paper. Of course, we don't know how it's going to flow, what the verticality looks like, but also it doesn't look like there's crazy verticality. Obviously, there's different buildings here with second levels and first levels, but it doesn't seem like there's anything completely crazy going on, and there's quite a lot of circles going on, right? Like, I know that people saw the circles and kind of thought about raids from Black Ops 2, because as we'll see in a second, they are kind of rather similar. Now, apparently, according to a source, this is where the domination flags are. So the domination flag isn't in the middle, but it's actually over here, and people have been kind of wondering, okay, where are the kind of bomb sites going to be if this is the case? But yes, apparently the pros have played this map in, I think it's going to be in the beta, right? You'd imagine it would be if they, they revealed it, right? So I'm sure it's going to be a beta map, but I believe it's one of the ones the pros have been playing in the alpha builds for quite some time, and supposedly they rather like it. I think this is viable. Like, he's also kind of guessed here, Ghost of Hope, on where the bomb sites could be. Potentially the A bomb site could be in this kind of section over here on the left-hand side. That might make sense. And then B could be kind of pushed over here. So, it's just early theories, really. But just looking at this map overview, it does remind me a lot of what map overviews look like when they're actually good maps. So I'm at least hopeful that it's going to be decent. You never really know from the overview, but I think a lot of people are saying, including Civic here, right, that this map does remind a fair few people of what Raid looks like from above. Not exactly like it's going to be as good as Raid, one of the best, if not the best, competitive Call of Duty map of all time. And it's slightly more complicated, right? The overview overview here. There's slightly more things going on the left-hand side than on the right. But you guys can see, obviously, the circle, the ring side of the map is rather similar to what you might see around here. The center as well is kind of similar in that you've got two kind of overlook buildings in the middle of the map. If you want to run out these two choke points, it can get pretty dangerous, but if you do get out there, it's important to have mid-map control on raids. That's what I love so much about Raid from Black Ops 2, is that mid-map control is so valuable because, you know, you can get anywhere you want from mid-map, and that's kind of one of the beauties of the 3-lane map design, and it's probably the same thing here, right? If you have mid-map control here, then you can go pretty much wherever you want, but it's a pretty dangerous place to be because you can get shot from a lot of different angles. So I think there's definitely some similarities here between the two map designs. It's obviously not exactly the same by any means, but there are causes for some optimism, I believe, with the way this is looking from above, and apparently it's one of a few good maps the pros have enjoyed. So, you know, look, if the maps make the game, obviously, and because this is a 2-year title, we'll hopefully get a lot of new maps added as the game progresses, which hopefully can switch up the map set for professional play, because that was one of the most frustrating things this season, that we never got anything new. Like, we had to play Desert Siege, and we had to play all these, like, terrible maps. The only good map really in this game was Tuscan in Vanguard, and we never got anything new. Even in Cold War, we got Apocalypse, and we got Express and Standoff, and these maps are added in. Didn't get any of that in Vanguard, but I'm sure in Modern Warfare 2 we will get it, and hopefully the base maps are better as well. Let's dive into some Rostermania stuff. Firstly, this real quick, fellow, as he says, me and Crim6 need one for the fortunes keep 100k tourney. I guess some sort of Warzone thing going on at Shotzzy. Let's run it back. So, of course, Crim, fellow, Shotzzy, plus I guess iLLeY, as it was at the time, was briefly a roster on the Dallas Empire in the Cold War season when fellow came in when the whole Huke thing went down. And then, of course, they got Vivid at the end of the season there. But, yeah, of course, fellow said that he's going to be grinding challenges for effectively one more year, going to try and make it work to get back in the CDL. If it doesn't work out, he's going to have to call it a day. Now, also this from Crim6, just to mention real quick, because honestly, I don't know if you guys really saw or noticed the clips I shared with Crim the last couple of days of him on stream, but I thought Crim, like, I think he looks pretty well. He looked really fresh. I guess he had a new haircut or whatever it was in the video that we saw yesterday, but I think he's been looking well. I don't know if he's been hitting the gym or something, but, you know, I don't know. It seems like to me that Crim, as soon as he left that New York situation and the stresses have diminished to some degree, he's already looking healthier, which is maybe just an insight into what that took out of him to a certain degree. But also, you guys know about the kind of lip issue that Crim6 has been dealing with, and as he says, he had some sort of lip biopsy yesterday, hopefully to get the bottom of this situation, but losing my mind every time I look in the mirror for almost a year straight. So, you know, hopefully everything works out for Crim and he can get this issue sorted, because I think he's been on some sort of like diet plan or whatever he said he was doing. So, you know, hopefully that's another trend in the right direction for Crim, because I think he's been looking good. And of course, we don't know what is next for Crim6 precisely, but he does say this: the story continues, announcement on Friday. So, I mean, yeah, the story continues to me is somewhat interesting, just because, like, it's not like the story ends or this chapter ends or whatever. We might expect that this might be some sort of announcement about Crim6's career coming to an end, because it doesn't seem like he's going to get a spot on another team next season. He doesn't really want to grind through the challenger side. There is, I think, a world in which that he just turns up to the first Prime event. If he can possibly put together a fun team and they can qualify for it somehow, if he doesn't have to grind day in, day out, then he might, you know, manage to find a way to turn up to it. But, you know, if not, it's probably going to be the end, maybe. Like, Crim is going to go down the route of content, but, you know, Crim6 done so much for the content over many years. I guess we'll just have to see what the announcement is come Friday. But yeah, definitely wanted to mention this for you guys. But it is coincidental timing, really, just because, you know, Crim has said that he's got no offers and he's talking to nobody. Maybe he's keeping something under wraps. It seems unlikely, but it is at least maybe possible, especially because PaulEhx has, well, said the following: I guess it's time to grind Warzone, any teammates. So seemingly PaulEx's potential team move has now fallen through. PaulEhx, of course, when he came into the New York Subliners last season, was a very big part of their turnarounds. Like, I think on LAN at the end of the year, he didn't necessarily have the greatest time, but still, I think he was a crucial factor in why that New York team was able to deliver results. And of course, we also saw last year, early on in the season, when the Gizmo thing went down with London, that PaulEhx subbed in, and then we had aBeZy saying that, well, London should have kept PaulEhx and let him go, which is certainly an arguable case, right? So maybe London thought, you know what, PaulEhx now is getting dropped from the subliners, and there was all the drama that went down, of course, in that New York camp, right? Paul versus the management, Paul versus the coaching staff, all this type of stuff. Like, obviously, that relationship is not going to be maintained, but they did decide to extend PaulEhx on I think it was a game launch contract. They extended him on such that if they want, they can drop him 2 weeks after the game launches. But you know, but I guess their hope would be probably that they can maybe sell him elsewhere and sell that contract on to another organization. Now, London was the key link, right? Because it kind of made sense. Zero maybe staying as the main. Maybe they say, you know what, Gizmo, there were some questions there. Was he really that good, especially on LAN? Like, you can ask the same questions about PaulEhx, in fairness, but I thought they might decide, okay, minus Gizmo plus PaulEhx, that's the way to go. Keep Nasty, bring in Wardy for Afro, whatever. Maybe that's a pretty solid team. team. Now, maybe that move has now fallen through. So PaulEhx might be stuck effectively on the subliner's bench as well, they're restricted free agent. They kind of want to get rid of him, but I guess they kept him around just in case, and they still can get rid of him 2 weeks after the game launches, I believe, on the game launch extension if they still don't want him. So yeah, PaulEhx, this tweet definitely implies to me that whatever team move he had has now completely fallen through. They've gone down a different direction. London, potentially, if that was the player that they were linked to, and if that is the case, who are they going to get, right? And even Cap still says, kind of mind blown here, that there was no team offer for PaulEhx, and of course, Cap we saw potentially linked to the Parisian, the Vegas Legion, as they now are, and maybe that's fallen through as well. So what next for these guys? Is it back to challenges? Like PaulEhx, I thought did enough this season to kind of merit a spot in the CDL, but maybe for whatever reason, London have decided to go down a different direction. So what have they decided to do, if anything? What is the London roster going to be next season? Because we know, of course, that there really aren't many other options for PaulEhx. Generally, a flex player, like what other teams that haven't confirmed yet will want to pick up PaulEhx? Like, it's obviously not going to be the New York Subliners, right? They're not going to bring it back in, even though, Paul in that role actually might be all right for them. But I think from the chemistry perspective, it seems rather clear to me that New York want to go down a kind of no drama route for next season, picking up players that might not necessarily be the best in their respective roles, but at least should be able to get on and actually, not completely collapse in terms of chemistry and team culture like we saw last season. So he's not going to go back there. Of course, it does seem like Brack is going to be the man for the Florida Mutineers. Vegas, of course, have Timbers their flex. So London, really, out of the teams that haven't yet confirmed, is the only decent option, and now seemingly that's off the table, right? So Zero, I guess, is going to return as the main. We don't know, but I would imagine that'd be the case. Then maybe Gizmo and Nasty make the return, just like last year's team, because last year's London was good, right? They were top 3 at the start. They made the World Championship comfortably, and I think Afro was a big part of that, but also the rest of the team was a big part of that. And I do think that Nasty should only continue to get better and better, and maybe the same for Gizmo. So I don't really mind them building around Zero, Nasty, Gizmo, but just without Afro, you need a good Afro replacement. And, to me, the guy to go for probably is Wardy from the European Challenger side. Like, I'd be surprised if they don't get him. And maybe they thought, you know what, given all these circumstances, maybe it is just better to go for a full UK lineup again, because, I don't know if this is ever, I think it is a thought process to some degree in London's decision making, where they want to have ideally a UK team. We saw in Cold War where they had Parasite and, all the other players that came in. It kind of diluted, I think, what London are trying to achieve to a certain extent. Like, I think they would ideally like a situation where they've got 4 UK players, which maybe shouldn't be relevant, or, whatever you guys think about that, but I don't know. I think it's the only UK team representative now, or the only European team representative. It's kind of good if they have a full UK roster, I think, even though that means maybe PaulEhx is gone, Gizmo is back in, or whatever they decide to do in their flex position. But I really don't see too much difference between that on paper, and maybe the chemistry thing is one to consider as well. So tweet your thoughts in the comment section below. This I also wanted to mention, actually, because we talked about that game launch extension here that PaulEhx is seemingly on, but actually the CDL has been updating the website in terms of signings. So this is as of September the 12th, 2022, confirming Slasher, Standy, Arcitys, Afro, these guys signing to their respective rosters, and also the extensions of aBeZy, Cellium, and Simp, Nero, Vivid, Method, as you can see right here. So this is now, I guess, a full extension rather than necessarily a game launch extension for Methods, or they're not really differentiating between the two, but we do believe that Zinni's going to be there at the start of next season. So yeah, just to mention the fact that the CDL have now gone through and pretty much updated everything that is going on here with all these extensions and whatever's going on with many of these players and organizations, as we can see with Seattle Surge, Toronto Ultra, Scrappy's here, and then of course, Temp is the only one on Vegas Legion to kind of finish out the video, and they actually do refer to them as the Las Vegas Legion as well, kind of echoing what I said at the start of the video. Just to mention this as well real quick, keeping you guys up to date on the greatest champs winner of all time bracket. It is indeed Complexity that took down Denial Esports, or are taking down Denial Esports without too much difficulty. They will move on to the top 4 teams: OpTic, FaZe, Freako Impact, and Complexity, which does of course make perfect sense. And if you guys want to get involved in the subliners and replace Gersh on their social team, then I just wanted to mention that they're looking for a new social media manager. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.